There are stories people whisper about the forest near a small village. Stories that say anyone who enters never comes back. But Nyla went. What she found there would change a life and silence the woods in a way no one expected. Why did a girl end up forced to spend the night beside a gorilla? Why would she give up her body, her memories, even her identity? This is the story of Nyla, who uncovered an old secret buried for generations. Nyla was 20, living a simple life with her parents in a humble village. Her beauty and gentle manner made her beloved by everyone. Not far from the village lay a dense, forbidding forest. People called it a lost, bewitched place. Strange tales traveled from house to house. Nobody dared enter. Since childhood, Nyla had been drawn to the trees. She would sit at the village edge and stare into the forest, wondering what truths lay hidden beneath its shadows. One morning, driven by curiosity she kept to herself, she packed a small bag, water, a little food, a torch, and slipped into the trees before dawn. At first, the forest seemed kind. Towering trunks, bird song, cool air. Nyla walked for a while and felt foolish for having believed the fearful stories. Then after about 30 minutes, the feeling of being watched crept over her. She stopped, looked around. Nothing. She moved on, but soon she heard the dry rustle of leaves behind her. When she turned, she froze. A giant gorilla stood there, taller than any man, nearly 7 feet, with a strange, unsettling light in its eyes. Nyla's heart pounded. She expected an attack. Instead, the beast stood quietly, staring at her. Slowly backing away, she found its massive arms blocking her path. Then, with deep, almost human gestures, the gorilla made signs as if trying to communicate. It picked up a large leaf from the ground and offered it to her. On the surface of the leaf, there were odd markings, almost like a secret message. The gorilla beckoned. "Follow me." Fear and curiosity warred inside Nyla. Finally, she followed. They walked until they arrived at a cave. Inside, something shone. Nyla stepped in and found a gleaming pendant and an old weathered diary. She opened the diary and began to read. The moment she turned the first page, a cold shock ran through her, as if someone had pushed her from behind. She spun around, but the gorilla remained outside, silent and watchful, eyes full of a grief that words could not hold. The diary revealed a startling truth. The gorilla had once been human. Long ago, a prince named Armand had been cursed by a sorceress. He could return to human form only if an innocent soul willingly spent a night with him. The entry explained that the curse could be lifted, but only with someone's selfless help, someone who offered without expectation of reward. Nyla stared at the beast outside the cave. In its gaze, she saw pleading and loneliness. If this creature had once been a man, she thought, then perhaps she should help. She read further. The ritual required a special incantation and a specific day. There were stern warnings, heavy prices attached to the magic. Still, the gorilla made more gestures and led her deeper into the forest. He was watchful now, alert to danger, glancing around as they moved quickly. Nyla's pulse thudded, but she followed him until they reached a small, still lake. The water looked both peaceful and strangely powerful. The gorilla signaled for her to look into the water. When Nyla peered in, her reflection seemed wrong. The pool tugged at her like an unseen force. She stepped back startled, but the gorilla took her hand to steady her. A low, resonant voice rose from the lake, as if from nowhere and everywhere at once. The water spoke. "If you wish to free this creature, you must offer your most precious thing." Nyla was stunned. The gorilla's eyes reflected hope and pain, as if begging her not to leave. The voice warned that time was short. Nyla had two choices: help and become part of the forest's secret, or flee and keep her life as it was. Her glance returned to the gorilla, to the soul trapped behind an animal's body, and compassion swelled in her. She asked the lake, "What is my most precious thing?" The lake answered plainly, "Whatever your heart treasures most." The sacrifice would be decided by her own heart. For Nyla, the question tore at her. Was it her parents, her freedom, or her identity? Before she could decide, she demanded to know who the gorilla once was and why this had happened. The water shimmered and revealed Armand, once a noble prince from a proud realm. Long ago he had refused the request of a strange woman, a sorceress, and she cursed him in fury. He would remain a beast until a pure-hearted girl sacrificed what she cherished most and chose to be with him willingly. Moved by his suffering, Nayla vowed to help. The lake told her clearly, if she sacrificed, the gorilla would become human, but a void would open in her life, something she would always miss. Nyla closed her eyes and thought of her parents, her dreams, her future. Still, looking at the prince's mute suffering, her heart broke. She whispered, I will do it. Light rose from the lake, a soft, golden glow that wrapped around her and the gorilla. Nyla felt her memories start to fade. The light asked her if she truly understood what she was giving. She said no, but she was ready. As the glow spread, the gorilla began to convulse. His long arms shortened, his heavy frame lightened. Slowly, painfully, the beast remade itself into a young, handsome man. Arman. Tears of gratitude poured from Arman's eyes. He thanked Nyla for freeing him, but as he reached for her, panic flooded them both. Nyla's memories were dissolving, slipping away like sand. She could no longer recall her parents, her home, the life she'd known. Desperate, she cried out, What is happening to me? Arman, sorrow in his voice, explained the cost. She had sacrificed her memories, her family, her name, her past. For him, the gift was priceless. For her, it was devastating. She had given away who she had been. Still, Nayla steadied herself and smiled with quiet resolve. If that was the price to free him, she had no regrets. They began the journey back toward the village, but when they arrived, the villagers recoiled. An old woman shook with fear and whispered, It's the gorilla. He has returned. Arman tried to explain, I am not the beast anymore. This girl freed me. The villagers were not convinced. One young man shouted that the creature had harmed their kin and must not stay. Arman looked at Nayla, who now bore no memory of home, and said softly, they must leave. The world had changed for them both. Though Arman was human again, his scars did not fade. The curse had left deeper wounds. He would never be fully accepted by those who feared him. Nyla, now without past or roots, insisted they return to the lake, to learn more. Perhaps the curse had not been fully undone. At the lake, the water's color had darkened. Its presence hummed with power. The voice rose again. The curse on Arman was broken, but Nyla's sacrifice remained incomplete. Her memory was only one piece. To finish the spell, she must give another sacrifice, her soul's deepest joys. Arman roared in anger and despair. He refused to let Nayla suffer more, but the lake was merciless. Unless she made the ultimate giving, the curse would not be fully erased. If she refused, Arman would revert to the beast, and this time there would be no saving him. Nyla wept, then spoke in a steady voice. If this is what it takes, I will go on. The lake explained the final surrender. She must give up her desires, her dreams, the very capacity to hope. In short, to become a shadow living only for others. In return, Arman would live free, forever. Her life would continue, but hollowed, stripped of personal joy. Without hesitation, Nayla agreed. Light engulfed her again. She felt every wish, every beloved image, every warm future drain away. When it ended, she stood before Arman, alive but bereft of longing or personal memory. She would remain, the lake said, until the work she began bore fruit. Her spirit would linger in the forest, helping others. In exchange, Arman was promised a chance at a new life. Arman knelt, tears in his eyes. He could not bear to let her shoulder such a fate. But Nayla met him with a soft acceptance. Her face showed no dreams now, only a quiet purpose. She would use what she had left to stand by him. But even this was not the end. The voice from the water revealed the deeper root of the curse. It had not sprung only from the sorceress's rage. Long ago, Arman's clan had attacked the sorceress's people, razing a village, killing many. The curse was not just her revenge. It was retaliation woven into fate by those deeper wrongs. Arman had to make amends at the source. They found the sorceress living in a broken hut, ancient and fierce. Arman approached trembling, begging forgiveness for his clan's sins. The woman laughed. Do you think apology is enough? She demanded a final terrible test. For the curse to be undone completely, our man must abandon Nayla forever. Never look back, never remember. Armand's chest split with pain. To let Nayla go would be unspeakable. Nayla, however, whose heart had no longer any private longing, agreed without protest. She said that Armand's freedom was worth any price. She had already given everything. Armand could not imagine life without her, but the sorceress spoke. If you refuse, the curse will remain half broken, and your fate will be worse. With a fractured soul, Armand accepted the sorceress's potion, a shining cup of forgetfulness. When he drank, memories fled him. Faces blurred, names faded. When he opened his eyes, he was free of pain, but free of love too. He could not recall who Nyla was. Nyla watched him stumble away, uncertain whether to follow. In the village, Armand tried to explain his sudden return and the strange girl beside him. Yet his speech fell like dust on ears hardened by fear. He left the village alone, a man without the burden of memory, but also without the knowledge of what he had lost. Nyla asked the sorceress what would become of her. The woman said gently that Nyla's existence had changed course. She would become part of the forest's mysterious work, a soulful presence, a helper who would guide those who needed sacrifice and compassion. Her life would be given to others, a quiet, wandering shade until the purpose that required her was fulfilled. Nyla bowed to that fate. She had no memories to cling to, no private desires. To her, the thought that Armand might live freely was enough. She accepted her role, a guardian of the forest and a living testament to the price of redemption. And so the story ends with a strange peace. Armand walked into a new life unaware of what he once had. Nyla remained alive but emptied of personal longing, her existence devoted to others. The forest kept its secret. People said the woods fell quiet after that. Silence born not of fear, but of the weight of what had been given. If this tale has a final message, it is this. Some sacrifices change the world, but they may cost everything the giver once loved. Nyla's choice freed a prince and healed an old wrong, but at the expense of the life she had known. She accepted that price, and in that acceptance lay a strange, painful kind of courage. End.